So someone asked me the other day, how does ActiveCampaign work? And it was interesting because I'd never really thought about it before, but I suppose when you're looking at it, it can be quite confusing. How do these things actually work? How do I get emails to send at certain times and get other things to happen at certain times? Well, ActiveCampaign is essentially just a pretty looking user interface that allows us to do some pretty complex things. So when we're building out these automations, we're actually coding different programs for ActiveCampaign to run on our behalf. We just happen to be coding it in a visual editor. And that's really handy because it makes it really, really easy to build these automations that would otherwise require pages and pages of codes and hours of work. So what we're going to be looking at today is focusing on the automations because that's really the heart of what ActiveCampaign does. Everything else in here really supports the automations. That's really what you're paying for with ActiveCampaign is this automation builder. And if you're not using the automations, then you're better off just not using ActiveCampaign, in my opinion, because you'd just be paying more money than what you need to. You could use MailChimp or something cheaper. So contacts, campaigns, automations, conversations, lists, forms, reports, they all really rely on the automations. That's the main heart of ActiveCampaign. So let's start by creating a new automation. Now here we've got some pre-built automations. To be honest, I've never used a pre-built automation in my life, but they are there if you want to use them. I personally don't like them very much. They're very basic, so I always start from scratch or import a template, and we'll just continue here starting from scratch. Okay, so now we've opened up our automation builder, and this is, like I said, the heart of ActiveCampaign. This is really what you're paying for. So first up, we can trigger an automation. We can start a program by using one of these pre-built triggers. So when a user subscribes, unsubscribes, submits a form, opens or reads an email, clicks a link, visits a page, adds a tag, fills a change, any of these things we can select and use to trigger an automation. Let's just trigger an automation when a user subscribes to a list. That's a pretty easy, common one to do. So now we can select which list we want to trigger this automation. So do we want to trigger on any list, or do we want to trigger on a specific list? Do we want it to run once or multiple times? And do we want to make sure, do we want to filter who's allowed to trigger this? So we could filter for if they have a tag, if they don't have a tag, if they're in another list, if they're not in a list, etc. So that's our trigger. That's what's going to run this program. Now you can also have an automation that doesn't have a trigger. And so that automation may be run manually by manually adding users to it, or it could be started by another automation in ActiveCampaign. So let's name this automation now. We'll just call this the tester automation. And the next step is, now that we've triggered the automation, what do we want ActiveCampaign to do next for that contact that's triggered the automation? Do we want to send an email or an SMS or send a notification email to someone on our team? Do we want to show a site message on our website? Do we want to wait maybe 5 days and then send an email? Do we want to check things or split contacts into even paths and take half down this path, half down that path, start another automation, end a different automation, send a webhook to something else? There's so much stuff that we can do here in ActiveCampaign, and so many things that we could do. So let's just say we want to wait for 1 day after they subscribe to our list, and then we're going to send them an email. And we could create an email here if we wanted to. And we'll just call this our test email. And then we'll just save and exit, but normally you'd go through the steps and create your email. So now what we've done is we've told this program, or we've actually coded a program here that's going to run when a user subscribes to a list in ActiveCampaign. That's our trigger. Then the program is going to wait for 1 day, wait for 24 hours. And then it's going to send this email that we've told it to send. Now, after that, currently the user is just, it's finished. That's it. That's the end of the program. It just drops off the end. There's nothing else to do. But we could add more here if we wanted to. We could add a goal. We could say call is scheduled. And that could be our goal. And we know that that call is scheduled when they have the tag call is scheduled. Then we could configure this goal so that if they don't meet the conditions of the goal, then maybe they could wait at the goal till they meet the conditions, or they could just end the automation. We could change that around if we like. We can also change it so that they achieve it either anywhere or just above the goal, and configure those as well. So now what's going to happen is they're going to wait one day, they're going to get an email, and then they're going to wait indefinitely until a call is scheduled. Now, if at any time they schedule that call, even if they're up here at this first wait, they're going to jump down past the email. They're not going to get the email, and they're going to achieve the goal here. So that's one of the best benefits of having a goal, is you can really jump users around an automation as you build it. Now, there's a whole heap of other things that you could do here inside of an automation, inside of the program that you're now coding. You can add tags, you can add them to lists, you can update different fields for them, or you could simply just end the automation, which is basically telling the program to end. I always like to end my automations with that because for me it feels like it's complete. If it's just without that on the end there, I don't know, it just feels really odd to me, and yeah, mentally it just doesn't sit well. So I always have that end this automation step at the end there. Now, once we're happy with our program that we've just coded here, we can then just activate our program. And now, whenever the trigger is achieved and the program is active, it's going to run and complete or execute whatever we've programmed in here to happen for that contact. So that's ActiveCampaign and how it works. Now, in the back end, all this is basically just a bunch of code that's strung together based on what we've added to the automation here. We can add a lot of different logic steps and things in the front end, but essentially we're coding a program that's going to run whenever this happens, and it's going to do whatever we tell it to do in this editor here. So that's how ActiveCampaign works, and if you want to build sort of more complex automations, then you can make multiple automations. You can code in multiple programs, and they can all run for different triggers, different times, do different things, and really this is how you automate processes in your business, and do it on a scale and at an affordable price that's going to work for the majority of businesses out there. So I hope that's given you a bit of an idea about how ActiveCampaign works behind the scenes, how to build a basic automation in ActiveCampaign, and really how to think about how these automations work in the back end. Hi, I'm Mitch Bayless, and if you're looking for someone to help you with your business automation, then click the button below to schedule your free call today. And if you found this video useful, remember to click like, and also subscribe to our channel for more videos.